Hello everybody, welcome back to Forever Conscious Research channel. Seems like I'm having an issue with the clock here, so bear with me a moment. I don't understand it. I set this all up and it just fails me. It's always something. Anyways, just one moment while I try and get this. Is kind of important because it's the clock, so I apologize. Hopefully it won't take long. Anyways, feel free to chat amongst yourselves for a couple moments while I just fine-tune this annoyance. Okay, because if I ever get lost and pause something, or you know what I've done in the past, I've accidentally stopped the audio and other things I've covered, and then I just totally lose my place. So if I put this up here, it's a reminder to me where I am, just in case. So that's why I put the clock up here, just so you guys know. Alright, looks like that is good to go. Again, let's see, here we go. Welcome back to Forever Conscious Research channel. Hope you're all having a good day. So, we had left off finishing with case 21, and we're going to head on over to case 22. We're going to jump right into it, and we'll see how far we get. I'm not sure. We'll probably go at least, a couple hours today. It's a really hot one here, so that's why I started early. I prefer to do it outside when I can. So, alright, so case 22. Let's just do a quick audio check and we will be on our way. Hopefully everything sounds good on your end, and I just gotta check this briefly. One moment.
Dr. N. By what name are you called in the spirit world? Subject. I am called Nentham. Dr. N. Nentham, do you have spirits around you right now, or are you alone? Subject. Pause. I am with two of my longtime companions. Dr. N. What are their names? Subject. Raoul and Sindham. Next day. When this session ended next day, I placed him in a superconscious state, and we went back to work.
Okay, everything looks good, and we are going to be on our way with case 22. Hi. Ayo there, way down below. Good to see you. PKOSB, Blistering, Night Sky, all y'all out there. Hope you're doing well, so let's get going. Case 22, starting now.
Case 22. Dr. N. By what name are you called in the spirit world? Subject. I am called Nentham. Dr. N. Nentham, do you have spirits around you right now, or are you alone? Subject. Pause. I am with two of my longtime companions. Dr. N. What are their names? Subject. Raoul and Senji. Dr. N. And the three of you are part of a larger spiritual group of souls working together? Subject. We were, but now the three of us work more by ourselves. Dr. N. What are the three of you doing at this moment? Subject. We are discussing the best ways to help each other during our incarnations. Dr.
Help
N.
each other.
Tell me what you do for each other. Subject. I help Senji to forgive herself for mistakes and appreciate her own worth. She needs to stop being a mother figure all the time on Earth. Dr. N. How does she assist you? Subject. to see my lack of a sense of belonging. Dr. N, give me an example of Senji's actions to assist you with this issue. Subject: well, she was my wife in Japan after my days as a warrior were over. Something is troubling Nentham, and after a pause he adds the following. Raoul likes to pair with Senji, and I am usually alone. Dr. N, what about Raoul? How do you two help each other? Subject: I help him with patience, and he helps me with my tendency to avoid community life. Dr. N, are you always two males and a female in your incarnations on Earth? Subject: no, we can change, and do, but this is comfortable for us. Dr. N, why are the three of you working independently from the rest of your spiritual group? Subject: pause. Oh, we see them here. Some have not gone forward with us. A few others are further ahead of us in their tasks.
So here we go, a few of them are ahead of others. You have the classic segregation, so to say, of the groups. And let's see where this heads.
Dr. N, do you have a guide or teacher? Subject, in a soft tone. She is Idis. Dr. N, it sounds to me as if you have a high regard for her. Do you communicate well with Idis? Subject: yes, I do. Not that we don't have our disagreements. Dr. N, what is the main area of conflict between the two of you? Subject: she doesn't reincarnate much, and I tell her she should have more direct exposure to current conditions on Earth. Dr. N, are you mentally in tune with Idis to such an extent that you know all about her background training as a guide?
Well, that's interesting. She's one that doesn't want to incarnate much on Earth. And there's a feeling there that she should hop to it. Get down there. You need to know the current conditions. What are you doing up there? You're supposed to get your ass down and incarnate down on Earth and be miserable.
Subject shakes head while pondering. It isn't that we can't ask questions, but we can only question what we know. Idis reveals to me what she thinks is relevant to my own experience. Dr. N, are guides able to screen their thoughts, so you can't read their minds completely? Subject: yes, the older ones get proficient at that, knowing how to filter things we don't need to know because this knowledge would confuse us.
Ah, so see, there's a filtering of knowledge because it could confuse you. So that's interesting, right? I mean, there's censorship and lack of information because you're not worthy. So, as we've kind of discussed previously, and there's going to be an independent future video on this in the future, about how people who have near-death experiences, and even those who claim when they're out of body that they're all-knowing and all this other crap, it's completely not true. I came to that conclusion a while back that all of that is complete garbage. It's not happening. There is no all-knowing. The information, again, is being transmitted, and it's also filtered and censored based on a number of things that all link back to the Matrix Reincarnation Soul trap.
Dr. N, will you learn to filter images? Subject: I already have a little. Dr. N, this must be why I have had many people tell me they have not been given definitive answers by their guides to all their questions. Subject: yes, and the intent of the question is important. When it was asked, and why. Perhaps it was not in their best interests to be given certain information which might disrupt them.
So it's against your best interest, because it might disrupt you. And who are these high and mighty things that have this power over us?
Dr. N, aside from her teaching techniques, are you fond of Idis in terms of her identity? Subject. Yes. I just wish you would agree to come with me. Once. Dr. N. Oh, you would like to actually have an Earth incarnation with her? Subject. Grins mischievously. I have told her we might relate better here if she would consent to come to Earth sometime and mate with me. Dr. N. And what does Ida say to that suggestion? Subject. She laughs and says she will think about it, if I can prove to her that it would be productive. At this juncture, I ask Nentham how long Idis has been associated with him, and learn she was assigned these 3 entities when they moved into Level 3. Nentham, Raoul, and Senji are also under the tutelage of a beloved older Master Guide, who has been with them since the beginning of their existence. It would be inaccurate to assume that more advanced spirits lead lonely spiritual lives. This subject told me he was in contact with many souls. Raoul and Senji were simply his closest friends. Level 3 and 4 are significant stages for souls in their development.
And let's just be clear, they say that since these souls came into existence, that is the existence as it pertains to here, not where we come from, which would be the creator. That, in my opinion, what's being said there is complete manipulation, completely, again, it's the firewalling and quarantining of self by outside influences that are given consent by us via manipulation and deception.
Because now they are given increased responsibilities for younger souls. The status of a guide is not given to us all at once, however. As with many other aspects of soul life, we are carefully tested. The intermediate levels are trial periods for potential teachers. While our aura is still yellow, our mentors assign us a soul to look after, and then evaluate our leadership performance both in and out of physical incarnations. Only if this preliminary training is successful are we allowed to function even at the level of a junior guide. Not everyone is suited for teaching, but this does not keep us from becoming an advanced soul in the blue section. Guides, like everyone else, have different abilities and talents, as well as shortcomings. By the time we reach level 5, our soul aptitudes are well known in the spirit world. We are given occupational duties commensurate with our abilities, which I will go into later in this chapter. Different avenues of approach to learning eventually bring all of us to the same end in acquiring spiritual wholeness. The richness of diversity is part of a master plan for the advancement of every soul, and I am interested in how Case 22 is progressing in Level 3. Dr. N. Nentham, can you tell me if Idis is preparing you to be a guide, assuming you have an interest in that activity? Subject. Quick response. I do have an interest.
Of course they do.
Dr. N. Oh, then are you developing as a guide yourself? Subject. Modestly. Don't make too much of it. I'm really no more than a caretaker, helping Idis and taking directions.
It's when I hear this, I think of all of the minions out there who work to prop up the system and have absolutely no clue what's really going on, but they're easily paid off, you know, like we have down here. There's that same type of control structure or pyramid scheme going on up there where barely anyone truly knows what the heck's going on the bottom levels, but at the capstone there's probably, who knows how many are actually privy to what the hell is going on. It really makes you wonder, just like here, there's very few that are in the capstone of the physical world. But, you know, even there, they're really not even the capstone, because that ties in with what's going on outside in the astral realm with the control going on there. They tie together, obviously. So it begs the question, which we'll never know the answer to, but it's interesting to at least think about, is how many truly know what the hell's going on.
Dr. N, do you try and imitate her teaching style? Subject, no, we are different. As an apprentice, a caretaker, I couldn't do what she is able to accomplish anyway. Dr. N, when did you know you were ready to be a caretaker and begin assisting others spiritually? Subject, it's an awareness which comes over you after a great number of lives, that you are more in balance with yourself than previously, and are able to aid people as a spirit. And
Yeah, as you got to be able to aid people, you have to be able to manipulate, deceive, and be so brainwashed and so lost that you are a good tool for the system.
in the flesh. Dr. N, are you operating in or out of the spirit world as a caretaker at this time? Subject, has difficulty in forming a response. I'm out in 2 lives. Dr. N, are you living in 2 parallel lives now? Subject, yes, I am. Dr. N, where are you living in this other life? Subject, Canada. Dr. N, is geography important to your Canadian assignment? Subject, yes, I picked a poor family in a rural community where I would be more indispensable. I'm in a small mountain town. Dr. N, give me the details of this Canadian life and your responsibilities. Subject, slowly. I'm taking care of my brother, Billy. His face and hands were horribly burned by a flash fire from a kitchen stove when he was 4 years old. I was 10 when it happened. Dr. N, are you the same age in the Canadian life as you are now in your American one? Subject, about the same. Dr. N, and your prime assignment in the Canadian life? Subject, to care for Billy, to help him see the world past his pain. He is almost blind, and his facial disfigurement causes him to be rejected by the community.
I swear, when I hear this type of stuff, and again, this is just one example of many sufferings that go on here with everybody who lives here, and some have it so much worse than us. Like we were talking about earlier, Night Sky, about being born in a country with, very little to go on and still be linked into the parasitic money system or whatever it may be. In this case, this poor kid got burns and was disfigured, and apparently this guide is watching over him when the kid has no recollection of this supposed assistance while they're there. Yeah, sure.
I try to open him to an acceptance of life and to know who he really is from the inside. I read to him and go for walks in the forest holding his arm. I don't hold his hands because they are so damaged. Dr. N, what about your Canadian parents? Subject, without boasting. I am the parent. My father left after the fire and never came back. He was a weak man who was not kind to the family even before the fire.
Oh, so we also had a bad family too. Oh, it just sounds like a great incarnation. Anybody want to take? Should we just exchange our current life for that one? It sounds like a really fun one, doesn't it?
My mother's soul is not very capable in her body. They need someone with seasoning. Dr. N, someone physically strong? Subject, laughing. No, I'm a woman in Canada. I'm Billy's sister. My mother and brother require someone mentally tough to hold the family together and give them a course to follow. Dr. N, how do you provide for the family? Subject, I am a baker and I'll never marry because I can't leave them. Dr. N, what is your brother's major lesson? Subject, to acquire humility without being crushed by a life of little self-gratification. Dr. N, why didn't you take the role of your burned brother?
Yeah.
Wouldn't that scenario provide you with the more difficult challenge?
Yeah, that's right.
Subject, grimacing. I've already been through that one. Note, this subject has been physically injured in a number of past lives.
Again, the cycle of suffering. No one's exempt. No one's exempt. Some lifetimes are a little easier than others, but it's still a nightmare to continually reincarnate here. And the whole point of all of this is to see what the hell is going on, hear what the hell is going on, and use it to apply and customize your exit plan from this nightmare.
Dr. N, yes, I suppose you have. I wonder if Billy's soul was ever involved with physically hurting you in one of your past lives.
Yeah.
Subject, as a matter of fact, he did in one of them. When I was the sufferer, another caretaker stayed with me, and I was a grateful receiver. Now it is Billy's turn, and I am here for him. Dr. N, did you know in advance your...
It's just... I'll just rewind that briefly. Okay. It's just the cycle of suffering and doing this to one another. Who's standing up and saying, okay, this is batshit, it's crazy. All of the lessons seem to always just revert to suffering. Has anyone catching on to that yet? Anybody new here who might be swinging in and hearing this off the bat, questioning their existence here on Earth and what's going on? This series is really just, it's blowing the doors wide open on a lot of the insanity going on that is always normalized here. Again, Earth is the biggest case of Stockholm Syndrome on steroids you will ever witness or be a part of. Everyone is crazy because they have normalized this experience and poo-pooed it away and made excuses for it over and over and over, sympathizing with the captors. We cannot do that anymore. Alright, I rewinded it just about 10 seconds because I cut it off a bit, so here we go.
You in one of your past lives. Subject, as a matter of fact, he did in one of them. When I was the sufferer, another caretaker stayed with me, and I was a grateful receiver. Now it is Billy's turn, and I am here for him. Dr. N, did you know in advance your brother was going to be incapacitated before you came into the Canadian life? Subject, sure. Idas and I discussed the whole situation. She said Billy's soul would require a caretaker, and since I had negative contact with this soul before in another life, I welcomed the job. Dr. N,
yeah, I welcome it.
Besides the karmic lesson for Billy's soul, there are some for you too, in terms of your being in the role of a woman who is tied down. You can't just take off and roam around as you often do in your lives. Subject, that's true. The degree of difficulty in a life is measured by how challenging the situation is for you, not others. For me, being Billy's caretaker is harder than when I was on the receiving end, with another soul as my caretaker. Dr. N, give me the most difficult factor of this assignment for you as a caretaker. Subject, to sustain a child, through their helplessness to adulthood. To teach a child to confront torment with courage. Dr. N, Billy's life is an extreme example, but it does seem Earth's children have much physical and emotional pain to go through. Subject, without addressing and overcoming pain, you can never really connect with who you are and build on that. I must tell you, the more pain and adversity which come to you as a child, the more opportunity to expand your potential.
Ugh. Alright. Just going to rewind that just so we are very clear what is being said. The insanity.
Seem Earth's children have much physical and emotional pain to go through.
Here we
Subject,
go.
Without addressing and overcoming pain, you can never really connect with who you are and build on that.
It's impossible.
I must tell you,
Can't grow
The
without
more
pain.
pain and adversity which come to you as a child, the more opportunity to expand your potential.
More pain, more
Dr. N.
potential. Obviously,
And how are things
right?
working out for you as a caretaker in Canada?
Yeah, how's it going?
Subject. There is a more difficult set of choices to be made in the Canadian family, unlike my American life. But I have confidence in myself to put my comprehension to practical use. Dr. N. Did Itis encourage or discourage your wanting to accelerate development by living parallel lives? Subject. She is always open about this. I haven't done it too much in the past. Dr. N. Why not? Subject. Life combinations can be tiring and divisive. The effort may become counterproductive with diminished returns for both lives.
Say that.
Dr. N. Well, I see that you are helping people in both your lives today. But have you ever lived contrasting lives where you did poorly in one life?
Or when you were freaking aware of it even going on when you were down here? Hello?
And better in another at the same time? Subject. Yes, although that was a long time ago on Earth. This is one of the advantages of life combinations. One life can offset the other. Still, doing this can be rough going. Dr. N.
Karmic.
Then why do the guides permit parallel lives? Subject, scowling at me. Souls are not in a rigid bureaucratic environment. We are allowed to make mistakes in judgment and learn from them. Dr. N.
Just as long as you don't figure out the scam. As long as you don't figure out that you're being taken for a ride and giving yourself away, yeah, no problem.
I have the impression you think the average soul is better off living one life at a time. Subject. I would say yes in most instances, but there are other motivations to cause us to speed up incarnations. Dr. N. Such as? Subject. Amused. The rewards for bunching up lives can allow for more reflection out of incarnation. Dr. N. You mean the rest periods between lives might last longer for us after concurrent lives? Subject. Smiles. Sure. It takes longer to reflect on two lives than one. Dr. N. Nentham. I just have a couple more questions on the mechanics of soul splitting. How do you see the manner in which you divide your soul energy into various parts?
And we've talked about this before, how there's fragmentation going on with us. There's no doubt. I think this group of people, us, are more connected than most, but we got lost. We fell into the propaganda and stuff like that and battled our way through it. And a lot of us here have said how we knew something was wrong from a very young age. As far back as I can remember, I know I have, and I know a lot of you said the same thing. But we just couldn't, we had to battle our way out because we were inundated with crap constantly. So a piece of us, you know, we come in probably not so bad. Then we get fragmented, and then we kind of piece ourselves back together again. And even then, you know, there's still, God knows what portion we're missing. But we're going to get it back. We're going to get it back. And we're going to get the hell out of here when our time comes.
Subject. We are as particles of energized units. We originated out of one unit. Dr. N. What was the original unit? Subject. The maker. Dr. N. Does each part of your soul remain intact, complete within itself? Subject. Yes, it does. Dr. N. Do all parts of our social energy go out of the spirit world when we incarnate? Subject. Part of us never leaves, since we do not totally separate from the maker. Dr. N. What does the part that remains in the spirit world do while we are on Earth in one or more bodies? Subject. It is more dormant, waiting to be rejoined to the rest of our energy. Most of my colleagues who...
See? Said it right there. It remains dormant. I'm just going to rewind that because that's a really important thing to hear. Fragmented, portions of us remaining dormant.
that remains in the spirit world do while we are on Earth in one or more bodies? Subject: it is more dormant, waiting to be rejoined to the rest of our energy. Most of my colleagues who work with past life clients have listened to overlapping time chronologies from people living on Earth in two places at once. Occasionally there are 3 or more parallel lives. Souls in almost any stage of development are capable of living multiple physical lives, but I really don't see much of this in my cases. Many people feel the idea of souls having the capacity to divide in the spirit world and then attaching to 2 or more human bodies is against all their preconceptions of a singular, individualized spirit. I confess that I too felt uncomfortable the first time a client told me about having parallel lives.
Yeah, and Dr. Newton asked a lot of good questions. That's what I really like about this book. He asks a lot of really important questions and even confronts some of his suspicions and hesitations about what's going on. But he does not piece it together by any means. But definitely have to take value in the line of questioning that he gives during this book. It's incredible. And it just, without some of those questions, I think we wouldn't have nearly the amount of information that we do. And we owe it to people like him who have asked those questions. And there's others who have done it too, but really it can't be said enough how much he digs and goes in the right direction. But then always comes up to, it's a learning experience.
I can understand why some people find the concept of soul duality perplexing, especially when faced with the further proposition that one soul may even be capable of living in different dimensions during the same relative time. What we must appreciate is, if our souls are all part of one great oversoul energy force which divides or extends itself to create our souls, then why shouldn't the offspring of this intelligent soul energy have the same capacity to detach and then recombine? Collecting information about spiritual activity from souls who are in the higher stages of development is sometimes frustrating. This is because the complex nature of memory and knowledge at these levels can make it difficult to sift out what these people recognize and won't tell me from what they really don't know. Case 22 was both knowledgeable and open to my questions. This case is compatible with other accounts in my files about the diversity of soul training in the spirit world. Dr. N.
Soul training.
Nentham, I want to turn now to your activities in the spirit world when you are not so busy with Earth incarnations, interacting in soul groups and learning to be a guide. Can you tell me of other spiritual areas in which you are occupied? Subject. Long pause. Yes, there are other areas. I know of them. Dr. N. How many? Subject. Cautiously. I can think of 4. Dr. N. What would you call these areas of activity? Subject. The world without ego. The world of all-knowing. The world of creation and non-creation. And the world of altered time. Dr. N. Are they worlds which exist in our physical universe? Subject. One does. The rest are non-dimensional spheres of attention. Dr. N. All right. Let's start with the non-dimensional spheres. Are these 3 areas in the spirit world for the use of souls? Subject. Yes. Dr. N. Why do you call all these spiritual areas worlds? Subject. I see them as habitations for spiritual life. Dr. N. So 3 of them are mental worlds? Subject. Yes, that's what they are. Dr. N. What is the world without ego? Subject. It's the place of learning to be. Dr. N. I have heard of it expressed in different ways. Doesn't it involve the beginners? Subject. Yes. The newly created soul is there to learn who they are. It's the place of origin. Dr. N. Are the ego identities passed out at random, or is there a choice for beginner souls? Subject: the new soul is not capable of choice. You acquire your character based upon the way your energy is combined, put together for you. Dr. N: is there some sort of spiritual inventory of characteristics that are assigned to souls? So much of one type, so much of another? Subject: long pause. I think many factors are considered in the allocations of that which makes us who we are. What I do know is, once given, ego becomes a covenant between oneself and the givers. Dr. N: what does that mean? Subject: to do the best I can with who I am. Dr. N: so the purpose of this world is the distribution of soul identity by advanced beings? Subject: yes, the new soul is pure energy with no real self yet. The world without ego provides you with a signature. Dr. N: then why do you call it the world without ego? Subject: because the newly created souls arrive with no ego. The idea of self has not come into the new soul's consciousness. It is here where the soul is offered meaning to its existence. Dr. N: and does the creation of souls with personhood go on continually? Subject: as far as I know, yes. Dr. N: I want you to answer this next question carefully for me. When you acquired your particular identity as a soul, did that automatically mean you were slated for Earth incarnations in human form? Subject: not specifically, no. Planets don't last forever. Dr. N: I wondered if certain types of souls have an affinity for specific forms of physical life in the universe. Subject: pause. I won't argue against that. Dr. N: in your beginnings, Nentham, were you given the opportunity to choose other planetary hosts besides humans on Earth? Subject: as a new soul, the guides assist in those selections. I was drawn to human beings. Dr. N: were you given other choices? Subject: long pause. Yes, but it's not very clear at the moment.
That's interesting, right? Wasn't clear at the moment. Let's continue.
They usually start you on an easy world or two without much to do.
Well, yeah, because they got to suck you in, right? I mean, they can't just throw the kitchen sink at you the moment you fly into this realm and its sub-realms, right? It's got to be an easing process to butter you up, and then they drop the bomb on you when they put you down here, and probably in other realms as well, which we've speculated about a number of times, how there's probably a number of material worlds out there, Earth-like realms, that, once maybe you start to pick up on a little too much, they pop you in there, they have these different training grounds too, etc., etc.
Then I was offered service on this severe planet. Dr. N: Earth is considered severe? Subject: yes. On some worlds you must overcome physical discomforts, even suffering. Others lean toward mental contests. Earth has both. We get kudos for doing well on the hard worlds. Smiling. We are called the adventurous ones by those who don't travel much. Dr. N: what really appeals to you about Earth? Subject: the kinship humans have for each other while they struggle against one another, competing and collaborating at the same time. Dr. N: isn't that a contradiction? Subject laughs. That's what appeals to me. Mediating quarrels of a fallible race which has so much pride and need of self-respect. The human brain is rather unique,
Yeah, unique and dumbed down, and acts as a firewall to prevent us from being or holding our true essence, our true self. Yeah, the human body sucks. It's designed for suffering, deception, and manipulation. And then you also have some good things too. Obviously, like love, happiness. You gotta speak about the whole thing, but at its crux, it's designed for basically suffering and misery.
Dr. N. How? Subject. Humans are egocentric, but vulnerable. They can make their character mean, and yet have a great capacity for kindness. There is weak and courageous behavior on Earth. It's always a push-me-pull-you tug-of-war going on with human values. This diversity suits my soul. Dr. N. What are some of the other things about human hosts which might appeal to the souls who are sent to Earth? Subject. Those of us developing on Earth have a sanction to help humans know of the infinite beyond their life, and to assist them in expressing true benevolence through their passion. Having a passion to fight for life, that's what is so worthwhile about humanity. Dr. N. Humans also have a great capacity for malevolence. Subject. That's part of the passion. But it's evolving, too. And when humans experience trouble, they can be at their best and are quite noble. Dr. N. Perhaps it is the soul which fosters the positive characteristics you suggested. Subject. We try to enhance what is already there. Dr. N. Does any soul ever go back to the world without ego after they have once been there and acquired identity? Subject. Uncomfortable. Yes. But I don't want to get into that. Dr. N. Well, then we won't. But I have been...
Let's rewind that briefly.
They have once been there and we try to enhance what is already there. Dr. N. Does any soul ever go back to the world without ego after they have once been there and acquired identity? Subject. Uncomfortable. Yes. But I don't want to get into that. Dr. N. Well, then we won't.
Now you gotta ask yourself why. You can hear right there that there's a blockade going on what is allowed to be said. I don't even think it's necessarily just discomfort. I think it's a firewall. You're not allowed to talk about that.
But I have been told some souls do return if their conduct during physical assignments is consistently irregular. I have the impression they are considered defective and are returned to the factory for a kind of spiritual prefrontal lobotomy. Subject. Subject shakes his head with annoyance. I am offended by that description.
Of course.
Where did you get such a notion? These souls who have developed severe obstacles to improvement are mended by the restoration of positive energy. Dr. N. Is this procedure just for Earth souls? Subject. No. Young souls from everywhere may require restoration as a last resort.
Restoration.
Are these restored spirits then allowed to return to their respective groups and eventually go back to incarnating on physical worlds? Subject sighs deeply. Yes. Dr. N. How would you compare the world without ego to the world of all-knowing? Subject. They are opposites. This world is not for young souls. Dr. N. Have you been to the world of all-knowing? Subject. No, I'm not ready. I am only aware of it as a place we strive for. Dr. N. What do you know about this spiritual area?
Yeah, what do you know?
Subject. Long pause. It is a place of contemplation, the ultimate mental world of planning and design. I can tell you little about this sphere, except it is the final destination of all thought. The senses of all living things are coordinated here. Dr. N. Then the world of all-knowing is abstract in the highest form? Subject. Yes, it's about blending content with form, the rational with ideals. It is a dimension where the realization of all our hopes and dreams is possible. Dr. N. Well, if you can't go there yet, how come you know about it?
You gotta wonder, when you hear this, you gotta wonder, it's like, the carrot on a stick dangling. Oh, this is what you're gonna be striving for. This is where maybe you can end up. This and that. It could all do. The whole thing is likely just, just a game where they just continually try and lure us in with the desire to go there.
Subject. We get glimpses. As an incentive to encourage us to make that final effort, to finish our work and join the Masters. The foundation of the spirit world is a place of knowing, and has been alluded to under different names by clients. I am given only bare references to this universal absolute, because even my advanced subjects have no direct experience there. All souls are anxious to reach and be absorbed by this nucleus, especially as they draw closer, and are enticed by what little they can see. I'm afraid the world of all-knowing can only be fully understood by a non-reincarnating soul above level 5.
See that? A non-reincarnating soul above level 5. So, it's almost as if you are given the sense of more freedom, but it's still within the system.
Dr. N. If the world without ego and the world of all-knowing are at opposite ends of a soul's experience, then where does the world of altered time fall? Subject. This sphere is available to all souls because it represents their own physical world. In my case, it is Earth. Dr. N. Oh, this must be the physical dimension you told me about. Subject. No, the sphere of Earth is only simulated for my use. Dr. N. Then all souls in the spirit world wouldn't study the same simulated world? Subject. No. Each of us studies our own geographical planet, where we incarnate. They are physically real, temporarily. Dr. N. And you don't physically live on this simulated world which appears as Earth? You only use it? Subject. Yes, that's right, for training purposes. Dr. N. Why do you call this third sphere the world of altered time? Subject. Because we can change time sequences to study specific events. Dr. N. What is the basic purpose of doing this? Subject. To improve my decisions for life. This study makes me more discriminating and prepares me for the world of all-knowing. Note. Subjects frequently use the term world to describe non-physical spatial work areas. These regions can be tiny or indescribably large in relation to the soul, and may involve different dimensions. I believe there are separate realities for different learning experiences outside the restrictions of time. The coexistence of past, present, and future time in spiritual settings, suggested by this case, will be explored further in the next 2 chapters with cases 23 and 25. Dr. N. We haven't talked about the world of creation and non-creation. This must be the 3-dimensional physical world you spoke of earlier. Subject. Yes, and we enjoy using it as well. Dr. N. Is this world intended for the use of all souls? Subject. No, it is not. I'm just starting to apply myself there. I am considered a newcomer. Dr. N. Well, before we get into that, I want to ask you if this physical world is the same as Earth. Subject. No, it is a little different. It's larger and somewhat colder. There is less water, fewer oceans, but similar. Dr. N. Is this planet further from its sun than Earth is from our sun? Subject. Yes. Dr. N. If I could call this physical world Earth 2, since it seems to be geographically similar to the Earth we know, would it be near Earth 1 in the sky? Subject. No. Dr. N. Where is Earth 2 in relation to Earth 1? Subject. Pause. I can't tell you. Dr. N. Is Earth 2 in our Milky Way galaxy? Subject. Long pause. No. I think it's further away. Dr. N. Could I see the galaxy Earth 2 is located in with a telescope from my backyard? Subject. I would think so. Dr. N.
Yeah.
Would you say the galaxy containing this physical world is shaped like a spiral as our galaxy, or is it elliptical? How would it look in a telescope from a long way off? Subject. As a great extended chain with a troubled expression.
A chain. A chain, that's an interesting word to use, right? And yeah, as Night Sky said, all simulations within simulations, extensions of simulations, over and over.
I can't tell you more. Note. As an amateur stargazer who uses a large reflector telescope designed for deep sky objects, I am always inquisitive when a session takes an astronomical turn. Client responses to these kinds of questions usually fall short of my expectations. I am never sure if this is due to blocking by guides or the subject's lack of a physical frame of reference between Earth and the rest of our universe. Dr. N. I throw out a leading question. I suppose you go to Earth 2 to reincarnate with some sort of intelligent being? Subject. Loudly. No! That's just what we don't want to do there. Dr. N. When do you go to Earth 2? Subject. Between my lives on this Earth. Dr. N. Why do you go to Earth 2? Subject. We go there to create and just enjoy ourselves as free spirits.
And you can see some of that in the movie Soul. There's some indications of that. It's like a training ground, preparation center, indoctrination center, where you're allowed to have different abilities and do different things, but it's all part of the program to get you back in a body.
Dr. N. And you don't bother the inhabitants of Earth 2? Subject, enthusiastically. There are no people. It's so peaceful. We roam among the forests, the deserts, and over oceans with no responsibilities. Dr. N. What is the highest form of life on Earth 2? Subject, evasive. Oh, small animals, without much intelligence. Dr. N. Do animals have souls? Subject. Yes, all living things do. But they are very simple fragments of mind energy. Dr. N. Has your soul and that of your friends evolved from using lower forms of physical life on Earth 1 after your creation? Subject. We don't know for sure, but none of us think so. Dr. N. Why not? Subject. Because intelligent energy is arranged by a precedence of life. Plants, insects, reptiles. Each is in a family of souls. Dr. N. And all the categories of living things are separated from each other? Subject. No. The Maker's energy joins the units of every living thing in existence. Dr. N. Are you involved with this element of creation? Subject. Startled. Oh, no. Dr. N.
Nope.
Well, who is selected to visit Earth 2? Subject. Those of us who are connected with Earth come here. This is a vacation spot compared to Earth.
It just, again, it just lines up with the movie Soul again. And just briefly, for anyone new to the channel or hasn't heard this yet, we will be having a Soul watch party. It's the movie by Disney Pixar. Highly recommend if you want to join the watch party that you at least watch it once, but I would say at least a couple times prior to the watch party. It's going to be sometime in the next few weeks. I'm thinking maybe next weekend. That's what I'm trying to shoot for, but I'm still not 100% sure on that. Those of you who've already emailed me, you'll get a notification. For anyone interested in joining the watch party, it'll be a commentary throughout the movie by myself, and then what we'll do is we'll have a big group discussion afterwards where we can all bounce ideas off each other. You know, may want to take a notebook with you and just take some notes as we go along, and then we could all discuss it afterwards. It's going to be a lot of fun. I've gotten a lot of emails, so anyone who wants to join, email me foreverconsciousresearch@gmail.com. That's foreverconsciousresearch@gmail.com. There's no channel in that, so shoot me an email if you want to join, and I will get back to each and every one of you after I get your email, and then there'll be a mass email sent out to each of you afterwards once the date and time is settled. And unfortunately, we can't do it on YouTube due to copyright, so I'll have to send you login details. So, let's continue.
Dr. N, why? Subject, there is no fighting, bickering, or striving for supremacy. There is a pristine atmosphere and all life is quiet. This place gives us an incentive to return to Earth and make it more peaceful too. Dr. N, well, I do see how this Garden of Eden would allow you to rest and be carefree. But you also said you come here to create. Subject, yes, we do. Dr. N, it is no accident, then, that souls from Earth come to a world that is so similar geographically?
It's all about the conditioning. It's familiarity. You know, I butchered that word, but you get what I'm saying. It's you know, getting in tune with what your surroundings are. So when you come down here, you know, there's something ticking in the back inside of you that is familiar with this place because it's, you know, very similar in Earth too, up in the astral.
Subject, that's right. Dr. N, do other souls who are not earthbound go to physical worlds which resemble those planets where they incarnate? Subject, yes. Younger worlds with simpler organisms, to learn to create without any intelligent life around. Dr. N, go on. Subject, we can experiment with creation and see it developing here. It's as if you were in a lab where you can form physical things from your energy.
A lab.
Dr. N, do these physical things resemble what you might see on Earth 1? Subject, yes, only on Earth. That's why I am here. Dr. N, start with your arrival on Earth 2 and explain to me what your soul does first. Subject, balks at my question and then finally says, I'm not very good. Note, since this subject is experiencing resistance, I take a few minutes for reconditioning and end with the following. On the count of 3, you will feel more relaxed about telling me what you and Itis consider appropriate for my knowledge. 1, 2, 3. I repeat my question. Subject, I look to see what I am supposed to make on the ground in front of me. Then I mold the object in my mind and try and create the same thing with small doses of energy. The teachers assist us with control. I'm supposed to see my mistakes and make corrections. Dr. N, who are the teachers? Subject, Itis and Mulkofgil. Subject's highly advanced guide. And there are other instructors around. I don't know them very well. Dr. N, try to be as clear as possible. What exactly are you doing? Subject, we form things. Dr. N, living things? Subject, I'm not ready for that yet. I experiment with the basic elements, you know, hydrogen and oxygen, to create planetary substance. Rocks, air, water, keeping everything very small. Dr. N, do you actually create the basic elements of our universe? Subject, No, I just use the elements available. Dr. N. In what way? Subject. I take the basic elements and charge them with impulses from my energy, and they can change. Dr. N. Change into what? Subject. Simply, I'm good with rocks. Dr. N.
Ooh.
How do you form rocks with your energy? Subject. Oh, by learning to heat and cool dust to make it hard. Dr. N. Do you make the minerals in the dust? Subject. They do that for you. The teachers give us that stuff. Gas vapors for water making and so on. Dr. N. I want to understand this clearly. Your work consists of learning to create by causing heat, pressure, and cooling from your energy flow? Subject. That's about right. By alternating our currents of energy radiation. Dr. N. So you don't actually produce the substance of rock and water in some chemical way? Subject. No, like I told you. My job is to transform things by mixing what I am given. I play with the frequency and dosages of my energy. It's tricky, but not too complicated. Dr. N. Not complicated. I thought nature did those things. Subject. Laughs. Who do you think nature is? Dr. N. Well, who creates the basic elements of your experiments? The primary substances of physical matter? Subject. The maker, and those creating on a grander scale than me. Dr. N. Well, in a sense, you are creating inanimate objects such as rocks. Subject. It's more our trying to copy what we see in front of us, what we know, as an afterthought. I'm getting into plants, but I can't do them yet. Dr. N. And you start small, experimenting until you get better? Subject. That's it. We copy things and compare them against the original, so we can make larger models. Dr. N. This all sounds like souls playing as children in a sandbox with toys. Subject. Smiles. We are children. Directing an energy flow resembles the sculpturing of clay. Dr. N. Are the other members of this creative training class from your original cluster group? Subject. Some are. Most come from all over, the spirit world. But they have all incarnated on Earth. Dr. N. Does everyone make the same things as you do? Subject. Well, of course some of us are better with certain things, but we help each other. The teachers come around and give us tips and advice on how to improve, but... Stops. Dr. N. But what? Subject. Sheepishly. If I am clumsy and do a bad job, I disassemble some creations without showing them to Idis. Dr. N. Give me an example. Subject. Plants. I don't apply my energy delicately enough to produce the proper chemical conversions. Dr. N. You are not good with the formation of plant life? Subject. No, so I undo my abominations. Dr. N. Is this what you mean by uncreation? You can destroy energy? Subject. Energy can't be destroyed. We reassemble it and start over using different combinations. Dr. N. I don't see why the Creator needs your help in creating. Subject. For our benefit. We participate in these exercises so that when our work is judged to be of quality, hopefully we can make real contributions to life.
It's got to be of quality. Hear that? It's got to be of quality. There's basically a quality check system put in place. It's nuts. Because the key thing to keep in mind here, personally, I don't know about you guys, but I am of the inner knowing, so to say, understanding that the entity or entities in control of the Earth realm, the Earth's astral realm, and all the sub-realms and astral realms outside of here. They can't create because they have been disconnected from the Creator. That's just that's where I'm at. I'm not saying that's definitely what's happening, but we are needed to further creation inside of these areas. It's basically being a slave or a servant to continue to do the dirty work, basically, without even knowing it, being blind to it. So, just wanted to throw that out there.
Dr. N, if we are all working up the ladder of development as souls, Nentham,
Pyramid scheme.
I am left with the impression the spirit world is one huge organizational pyramid with a supreme authority of power at the top. Subject, size. No, you are wrong. It is not a pyramid. We are all threads in the same long piece of fabric.
Yeah.
We are all woven into it. Dr. N, it's hard for me to visualize fabric when there are so many levels of competency for souls. Subject, think of it as a moving continuum rather than souls being in brackets of highs and lows. Dr. N, I always think of souls moving up in their existence. Subject, I know you do, but consider us moving across. Dr.
Yeah, across with no progress, and basically, or very little progress. So, you have like a graph with a line and it's just going straight. There's no upward movement. And if it is, it's very minute, because what's the object of the game? It's to keep you, put in your place, do what you're told, and unless you can help the realms and sub-realms grow and thrive, and also borderline become a dictator and control freak over others, you're not going to make progress. You gotta follow orders and do as you're told. So what's going on out there is not a bed of roses.
Dr. N, give me something I can picture in my mind. Subject, it's as if we are all part of a universal train on a flat track of existence. Most of the souls on Earth are in one car moving along the track. Dr. N, are all other souls in different cars? Subject, yes, but all on the same track. Dr. N, where are the conductors, such as Itis? Subject, they move back and forth between the connected cars, but sit closer to the engine. Dr. N, where is the engine? Subject, the maker? Up front, naturally. Dr. N, can you see the engine from your car? Subject laughs at me. No, but I can smell the smoke. I can feel the engine rumbling along, and I can hear the motor. Dr. N, it would be nice if all of us were closer to the engine. Subject, ultimately, we will be. From what I am able to determine, souls are expected to begin familiarizing themselves with the forces of creation by the time they are solidly established in level 3. Exposure to plant photosynthesis takes place before student souls work up the organic scale of life. I am told that early creation training consists of souls learning relationships between substances to develop the ability of unifying their energy with different values in the elements. The formation of inanimate to animate objects from the simple to the complex is a long, slow process. Students are encouraged to create miniature planetary microhabitats for a given set of organisms which can adapt to certain environmental conditions. With practice comes improvement, but not until they approach level 5 do my clients begin to feel they might actually contribute to the development of living things. We will hear more about this with Case 23. However, many of my clients won't or can't talk about creation. Some souls seem to have a natural gift for working with energy in their creation classes. My cases indicate ability in creation assignments does not mean a soul is at the same level of advancement in all other areas of the spiritual curricula. A soul may be a good technician in harnessing the forces of creation, but lack the subtle techniques of a competent guide. Perhaps this is why I have been given the impression that the highly advanced soul is allowed to specialize. In the previous chapter, I explained some benefits of soul solitude, and the last case gave us another example. Spiritual experience is not easily translated into human language.
I'm looking forward to a nice session of solitude when I get out of here. A nice long break of solitude away from this insanity.
Case 22 talks about the world of altered time as a means of transient planetary study. To someone in trance, it is the timeless mental world that is true reality, while all else is an illusion created for various benefits. Other subjects at about the same level call this sphere the space of transformation.
Whose benefit? Remember, whose benefit?
Or simply, rooms of recreation. Here, I'm told, souls are able to meld their energy into animate and inanimate objects created for learning and pleasure. One subject said to me, "I think of what I want, and it happens. I know I'm being assisted." We can be anything familiar to our past experiences. For instance, souls can become rocks to capture the essence of density, trees for serenity, water for a flowing cohesiveness, butterflies for freedom and beauty, and whales for power and immensity. People deny these actions represent former earthly transmigrations. I have also learned souls may become amorphous, without substance or texture, and totally integrate into a particular feeling, such as compassion, to sharpen their sensitivity. Some subjects tell of being mystical spirits of nature, including figures I associate with folklore, such as elves, giants, and mermaids. Personal contact with strange mythological beasts are mentioned as well. These accounts are so vivid, it is hard for me to simply label them as metaphoric. Are the old folk tales of many races pure superstition, or manifestations of shared soul experience? I have the sense that many of our legends are the sympathetic memories of souls carried from other places to Earth long ago. 11. The advanced soul. People who possess souls which are both old and highly advanced are scarce. Although I haven't had the opportunity to regress many blues in level 5, they are always stimulating to work with because of their comprehension and far-reaching spiritual consciousness. The fact is, a person whose maturity is this high doesn't seek out a regression therapist to resolve life plan conflicts. In most cases, level 5s are here as incarnated guides. Having mastered the fundamental issues most of us wrestle with daily, the advanced soul is more interested in making small refinements towards specific tasks.
Yeah, and how does that advanced soul work, huh? Do they retain their memories? Are they able to come down here and, maybe have an advantage over others? Ugh.
We may recognize them when they appear as public figures, such as a Mother Teresa.
Oh, public figures like Mother Teresa, the parasite herself. Have any of you looked into her? The way they framed her, and as this incredible woman who did kind acts, is the furthest thing from the truth possible. Swear to God, you want a little rabbit hole to go into and about what she was all about? She was a despicable human being. And yet, people just, they love to say, oh, what are you, Mother Teresa? You act like, no. It's actually, again, like everything else, right? It's inverted. Ugh. But did Mother Teresa come down here and have, maybe a little access to some memories that we otherwise wouldn't? Hence, having an advantage? Because she's part of the parasitic system. No doubt. Can't speak about the memory part, but she's definitely a cog in the wheel to gain, for considering how much fame and notoriety she got in the world for her most of her life, especially. And then I think they give her sainthood or something towards the end there. Anyways, yeah, you want a rabbit hole to look into? I really wouldn't waste my time. I mean, basically, she's a horrible human being. That's really the bottom line.
However, it is more usual for the advanced soul to go about their good work in a quiet, unassuming manner. Without displaying self-indulgence, their fulfillment comes from improving the lives of other people. They focus less on institutional matters and more on enhancing individual human values. Nevertheless, level 5s are also practical, and so they are likely to be found working in a cultural mainstream, which allows them to influence people and events. I have been asked if most people who are sensitive, aesthetic, and particularly right-brained have advanced souls, since individuals with these characteristics often appear to be at odds with the wrongs of an imperfect world. I see no correlation here. Being emotional, appreciating beauty, or having extrasensory impressions, including psychic talent, does not necessarily denote an advanced soul. The mark of an advanced spirit is one who has patience with society and shows extraordinary coping skills. Most prominent is their exceptional insight. This is not to say life has no karmic pit for them. Otherwise, the level 5 probably wouldn't be here at all. They may be found in all walks of life, but are frequently in the helping professions or combating social injustice in some fashion. The advanced soul radiates composure, kindness, and understanding toward others. Not being motivated by self-interest, they may disregard their own physical needs and live in reduced circumstances. The individual I have chosen to represent the level 5 soul is a woman in her mid-30s who works for a large medical treatment facility specializing in chemical substance abuse. I was introduced to this woman by a colleague who told me of her skill.
Any issues here? Looks like I'm getting, just had to pause it really quick. Looks like I'm having issues with quality. How does it look on your end? Some of you don't mind just popping in the chat really quick. This is the 1 hour and 23 second mark. For anyone watching the replay, just checking the quality. Seems to be an issue on the streaming side. I will put a notation in the timestamps for you guys. So if you want, check the description below if you're watching the replay. Okay. Damn. Let me just see here. I'm going to try refreshing this really quick. Okay. Oh, man. Poor health. Poor stream health. Oh, man. No issues? Really? Okay. Alright. YouTube's giving me warnings left and right here. Alright, I'll just keep continuing then. Let me just take a quick note here of, just in case. That would be... where are we? 42823. 42823. Just in case something happens. Okay, I'm going to continue the audio.
In guiding recovering drug addicts into an improved state of self-awareness. At our first meeting, I was struck by the woman's expression of serenity while surrounded by chaotic emergencies at her place of employment. She was tall and excessively thin, with flaming red hair which stuck out in all directions. Although warm and friendly, there was about her an air of impenetrability. Her clear, luminous gray eyes were those of one who sees small things unnoticed by ordinary folk. I felt she was looking into rather than at me. My colleague suggested the three of us have lunch, because this woman was interested in my studies of the spirit world. She told me that she had never been hypnotically regressed, but there was the sense of a long spiritual genealogy through her own meditations. She thought our meeting was no accident on her own learning path, and we came to an agreement to explore her spiritual knowledge. A few weeks later, she arrived at my office. Clearly, this woman had no compelling desire for a long chronology of past life history. I decided to get a brief sketch of her earliest lives on Earth, to use as a springboard into superconscious memories. She rapidly entered into a deep trance and made instant contact with her inner self. Almost at once, I found this woman's span of incarnations staggering, going far back into the distant past of human life on Earth. Touching on her earliest memories, I came to the conclusion her first lives occurred at the beginning of the last warm interglacial period, which lasted from 130,000 to 70,000 years ago, before the last great ice age spread over the planet. During the warmer climate of the Middle Paleolithic period of Earth's history, my subject described living in moist, subtropical savannas near hunting, fishing, and plant-gathering areas. Later, some 50,000 years ago, when continental sheets of ice had again changed Earth's climate, she spoke of living in caves and enduring bitter cold. Leaping rapidly over large blocks of time, I found her physical appearance changing from a slightly bent to a more erect posture. As we moved forward in time, I directed her to look into pools of water and feel her body while reporting back to me. Her sloping forehead became more vertical over thousands of years in different bodies. Supraorbital ridges above the eyes grew less pronounced, as did body hair and the massive jaws of archaic man. In many lives as both men and women, I was given enough information on habitat, the use of fire, tools, clothes, food, and ritualistic tribal practices for rough anthropological dating. Paleontologists have estimated Homo erectus, an ape-like ancestor of modern humans, appearing at least 1.7 million years ago. Have souls been incarnating on Earth for this long, utilizing the bodies of these primitive bipeds we made us human, not the reverse? One of my advanced subjects remarked, "Souls have seeded the Earth in different cycles." A composite of information collected from a wide range of clients suggests to me that the land masses we know today deviate from earlier continents, drowned perhaps by cataclysmic volcanic or magnetic upheavals. For instance, the Azores in the Atlantic Ocean have been said to represent the tops of mountains of the submerged continent of Atlantis. Indeed, I have had subjects discuss being in ancient lands on Earth that I cannot identify with modern geography. Thus, it is possible souls existed in bodies more than advanced Homo erectus, who died out about 250,000 years ago.
Alright, is it buffering? It looked like I was having issues on my end again too, but I don't know, now it says it's excellent. Okay, I'm just going to keep going. Maybe it was just a brief hiccup. Was it for any period of time? Like, I'm just going to keep playing. If it was longer than like 10 or 15 seconds, just please let me know and I'll rewind.
With the fossilized evidence hidden from us today by geological change. However, this hypothesis means the physical evolution of humans was an up-down affair, which I think is unlikely. I now moved my subject into an African life around 9,000 years ago, which she said was an important milestone in her advancement. This was the last life she was to spend with her guide, Kumara. Kumara was an advanced soul herself at the time of this life, counseling a benevolent tribal chief as his influential wife. I tentatively located their land as the highlands of Ethiopia. Apparently, my subject had known Kumara in a number of earlier lives, covering thousands of years, during Kumara's final incarnations on Earth.
Kamala Harris is here.
Their association in human form ended when my subject died, saving Kumara's life on a riverboat by throwing herself in front of an enemy spear. Full of love, Kumara still appears to this subject as a large woman with skin of polished mahogany and a shock of white hair crowned by a headdress of feathers. She is practically nude, except for a strip of animal hide around her ample middle. On Kumara's neck hangs a garish bunch of multicolored stones, which she sometimes jiggles in my subject's ear to get her attention during dreams in the middle of the night. Kumara teaches by a technique of flashing symbolistic memories of prior lessons already learned in past lives. Old solutions to problems are mixed with new hypothetical choices in the form of metaphoric picture puzzles. By these means, Kumara tests her students' considerable storehouse of knowledge during meditations and dreams. I glanced at my watch. There was no more time for background information if I was going to allow for exploration of this woman's afterlife experiences. Rapidly, I took her into superconsciousness, anticipating some interesting spiritual disclosures. She would not disappoint me. Case 23. Dr. N. What is your spiritual name? Subject. Peace. Dr. N.
Alright, just one moment. It's going to be very quick. I'm going to throw up the break video, but all I'm going to do is just fill my water. So I probably only be a minute or two. Just really hot over here today, so just bear with me. Shouldn't be long. Okay, thank you for your patience. Okay, I'll just rewind about 15 seconds. Okay, there we go. And we're headed into case 23, 24, I think, or continuing.
And information, if I was going to allow for exploration of this woman's afterlife experiences. Rapidly, I took her into superconsciousness, anticipating some interesting spiritual disclosures. She would not disappoint me. Case 23.
23.
Dr. N. What is your spiritual name? Subject. Thies. Dr. N. And your spiritual guide kept her African name of Kumara? Subject. For me, yes. Dr. N. What do you look like in the spirit world? Subject. A glowing fragment of light. Dr. N. What exactly is the color of your energy? Subject. Sky blue. Dr. N. Does your light have flecks of another color in it? Subject. Pause. Some gold. Not much. Dr. N. How about Kumara's energy color? Subject. It's violet. Dr. N. How does light and color identify the quality of a soul's spiritual attainment? Subject. The intensity of mental power increases with the darker phases of light. Dr. N. Where does the highest intensity of intelligent light energy originate from? Subject. The knowledge by which the energy of darker light is extended to us comes from the source. Our light is attached to the source. Dr. N. When you say source, you mean God? Subject. That word has been misused. Dr. N. How? Subject. By too much personalizing, which makes the source less than it is. Dr. N. What's wrong with us doing that? Subject. It takes the liberty of making the source too human, although we are all part of its oneness. Dr. N. Thies, I want you to reflect on the source as we talk about other aspects of soul life and the spirit world. Later, I will ask you more about this oneness. Now let's go back to the energy manifestations of souls. Why do spirits display two black glowing cavities for eyes when not showing their human forms? It seems so spooky to me. Subject laughs and is more relaxed. That's how Earth's legends of ghosts came about, from these memories. Our energy mass is not uniform. The eyes you speak of represent a more concentrated intensity of thought. Dr. N. Well, if the myths about ghosts are not so fanciful after all, then these black eye sockets must be useful extensions of their energy. Subject. Rather than eyes, they are windows to old bodies, and all the physical extensions of former selves. This blackness is a concentration of our presence. We communicate by absorbing the energy presence of each other. Dr. N. When you return to the spirit world, do you have energy contact with other souls who may look like ghosts? Subject. Yes, and appearance is a matter of individual preference. Of course, there is always a multitude of thought waves around me, mingling with my returning energy, but I avoid too much contact. Dr. N. Why? Subject. For me to make attachments here. I will be alone for a while to contemplate and sort out any mistakes from my last incarnation, before talking to Kumara. Note, this statement is typical of advanced souls returning to the spirit world, mentioned earlier in Case 9. However, this soul is so advanced, she will have no deliberations with her guide until much later, and upon her request. Dr. N. Perhaps we should talk
Here we go. Alright, I saw
energy, but I avoid too much contact. Dr. N. Why? Subject. It is not necessary for me to make attachments here. I will be alone for a while to contemplate and sort out any mistakes from my last incarnation, before talking to Kumara. Note, this statement is typical of advanced souls returning to the spirit world, mentioned earlier in Case 9. However, this soul is so advanced, she will have no deliberations with her guide until much later, and upon her request. Dr. N. Perhaps we should talk about older souls for a minute. Does Kumara incarnate on Earth anymore? Subject. No, she doesn't. Dr. N. Do you know others like Kumara who were here during the early times on Earth and don't come back anymore? Subject, cautiously. A few, yes. Many got on Earth early and got off before I came. Dr. N. Did any stay? Subject. What do you mean? Dr. N. Advanced souls who keep coming back to life on Earth when they could stay in the spirit world. Subject. Oh, you mean the sages? Dr. N. Yes, the sages. Tell me about them. This is a new term for me, but I often pretend to know more than I do with advanced souls to elicit information. Subject, with admiration. They are the true watchers of Earth, you know. To be here and keep watch over what is going on. Dr. N. As highly advanced souls who continue to incarnate? Subject. Yes. Dr. N. Don't the sages get tired of still hanging around Earth?
and ask yourself, where are they? Where are the helpful ones? Huh? Let's just get that out of the way, because it's ridiculous. The sages. What sages? Where are they? What are they doing to assist in making things better down here on Earth? Nothing.
Subject. They choose to stay and help people directly because they are dedicated to Earth.
Oh.
Dr. N.
It's cute.
Where are these sages?
Yeah, good
Subject.
question.
Wistfully. They live simple lives. I first came to know some of them thousands of years ago. Today it's hard to see them. They don't like cities much.
Yeah, simple lives away from society because they don't want to deal with it. I don't know. It's probably like they got the orders to have to come down once in a while, and they are worthless. They have nothing to provide humanity. They stay away from the cities. Up in their little huts in the Himalayas, doing whatever the hell they're doing, and meanwhile everything just continues. And maybe there's a few in town that are lucky enough to have a royal meeting with them or something, but come on, let's get real. No, there's no one down here doing anything from a standpoint of helping. It's not happening.
Dr. N. Are there many of them? Subject. No. They live in small communities or out in the open, in the deserts and mountains, in simple dwellings. They wander about, too. Dr. N. How does one recognize them? Subject. Sighs. Most people don't. They were known as the oracles of truth in earlier times on Earth. Dr. N. I know this sounds pragmatic, but wouldn't these old, highly developed souls be more useful helping humankind in positions of international leadership, rather than being hermits? Subject. Who said they were hermits? They prefer to be with the common people who are most affected by the movers and shakers. Dr. N. What is the feeling one gets when meeting a sage on Earth? Subject. You get a special presence. Their power of understanding and the advice they give you is so wise. They do live simply. Material things mean nothing to them. Dr. N. Are you interested in this sort of service, These? Subject. No, they are saints. I welcome the time when I can stop incarnating. Dr. N. Perhaps the word sage could also be applied to souls like Kumara, or even with the entities to whom she turns for knowledge. Subject. Pause. No, they are different. They're beyond the sages. We call them the old ones.
The old ones.
Note. I would place these beings beyond level 6. Dr. N. Are there many old ones working with souls at Kumara's level and above? Subject. I don't think so, compared to the rest of us, but we feel their influence. Dr. N. What do you feel in their presence? Subject. Pensive. Concentrated power of enlightenment and guidance. Dr. N. Could the old ones be embodiments of the source itself?
Here we go.
Subject. It is not for me to say, but I don't think so yet. They must be close to the source. The old ones represent the purest elements of thought, engaging in the planning and arranging of substances.
We all are, okay? That we all are connected, okay? Except for the ones that have been disconnected and quarantined, which likely run this place, in my opinion, okay? Now, what right out the gate, this line of questioning disconnects this soul experiencing this regression from its true essence by handing over power to something else and in turn making themselves less worthy, diminishing their status in the world, their true essence. Again, that's what I'm trying to go at here. Everything is consent based, and it is a lot easier than we think to get out of here, but the attachments have to go. And we can touch on that a little bit towards the end, but let's just continue.
Dr. N. Could you clarify a bit more what you mean by these highly placed souls being close to the source? Subject. Vaguely. Only that they must be close to conjunction. Dr. N. Does Kumara ever talk about these entities who help her? Subject. To me, only a little. She aspires to be one of them, as we all do. Dr. N. Is she getting close to the old ones in knowledge? Subject. Faintly. She approaches, as I approach her. It is slow assimilating with the source, because we are not complete. Once the duties of a guide are fully...
We are not complete. Again, giving the power where power is not earned or deserved in any way, shape, or form.
Established for the advancing soul, it is necessary for these entities to juggle two balls. Besides completing their own unfinished business with continued, though less frequent, incarnations, they must also help others while in a discarnated state. Please talk to me about this aspect of her soul life. Dr. N. When you are back in the spirit world and come out of your self-imposed isolation, what do you ordinarily do then? Subject. I join with members of my company. Dr. N. How many souls are in your company? Subject. 9. Dr. N. Jumping to the next conclusion too quickly. Oh, so the 10 of you are a group of souls under the leadership of Kumara? Subject. No. They are my responsibility. Dr. N. Then these 9 entities are students whom you teach? Subject. You could say that. Dr. N. And they are all in one group, cluster, which I assume is your company? Subject. No, my company is made up of 2 different groups. Dr. N. Why is that? Subject. They are in different progressions, levels. Dr. N. And yet you are the spiritual teacher for all 9? Subject. I prefer to call myself a watcher. 3 of my company are also watchers. Dr. N. Well, who are the other 6?
The watchers.
Subject, matter-of-factly. People who don't watch. Dr. N. I want to clarify this using my terms, if you will, Thies. If you are a senior watcher, 3 of your company must be what I would call junior guides.
So, you know, you have the junior guides, you have the control structure on top of the control structure with these entities overlooking one another.
Subject. Yes, but the words senior and junior, that portrays us as authoritarian, which we are not. Dr. N. My intention is not to denote rank. For me, it is just an easy identification of responsibility. Consider the word senior as meaning an advanced teacher. I would call Kumara a master teacher, or possibly an educational director. Subject shrugs. That's okay, I suppose, as long as director doesn't mean dictator. Dr. N. It doesn't. Now, Thies, cast your mind to a place where you can see the energy colors of all your company. What do the 6 souls who are not watchers look like? Subject smiles. Dirty snowballs. Dr. N. If they are white in tone, what about the rest? Subject pause. Well, 2 are rather yellowish. Dr. N. We are 1 short. What about the 9th member? Subject. That's An Ras. He is doing quite well. Dr. N. Describe his energy color. Subject. He is turning bluish. An excellent watcher. He will be leaving me soon. Dr. N. Let's go to the opposite end of your company. What member are you most concerned about and why? Subject. Ojana Win. She has the conviction for many lives that love and trust only bring hurt. Musing. She has fine qualities which I want to bring out, but this attitude is holding her back. Dr. N. Ojanawin is developing more slowly than the rest? Subject, protectively. Don't misunderstand. I am proud of her effort. She has great sensitivity and integrity, which I like. She just requires more of my attention. Dr. N. As a watcher-teacher, what is the one quality which Anras has acquired, which you want to see in Ojanawin? Subject, no hesitation. Adaptability to change. Dr. N. I am curious if the 9 members of your company advance in a rather uniform way together under your teaching. Subject. That's totally unrealistic. Dr. N. Why? Subject. Because there are differences in character and integrity. Dr. N. Well, if learning rates are different between souls because of character and integrity, how does this equate with the mental capabilities of the human brain a soul selects? Subject. It doesn't. I was speaking of motivation. On Earth, we use many variations of the physical brain in the course of our expansion. However, each soul is driven by its integrity. Dr. N. Is this what you mean by a soul having character? Subject. And the intensity of desire is part of character. Dr. N. If character is the identity of a soul, where does desire come in? Subject. The drive to excel is internal to each soul, but between lives. Dr. N.
Alright, and I'll also add that it also, again, it's the firewalling of self that is placed on us through these mechanisms. And what that does is it clouds us, and the traits and experiences that we have had lifetime after lifetime down here and excuse me, out into the astral realms, that everything falls under in relation to this universe we are in, Hollowverse specifically. We are, we're prevented from access. Okay, so you kind of get used to things, and you're kind of get used to being told what to do, where to go, what you should be doing, I guess, how you should be creating, what you should be creating, and all the while you have these stupid guides and so-called masters in the background chirping in your ear, your astral ears, and misleading you every step of the way, because everything boils down to coming back here. That's the whole crux of it. And also the whatever other material worlds they have set up running around out there. And I assume there are many. Don't know, but I assume.
So where does a soul's integrity fit into this? Subject: the extension of desire. Integrity is the desire to be honest about self and motives to such an extent that full awareness of the path to the source is possible. Dr. N, if all basic intelligent energy is the same, why are souls different in their character and integrity? Subject: because their experiences with physical life change them, and this is intentional. By that change, new ingredients are added to the collective intelligence of every soul. Dr. N, and this is what incarnation on Earth is all about? Subject: incarnation is an important tool, yes. Some souls are driven more than others to expand and achieve their potential. But all of us will do so in the end.
Yeah, you will do so. And that's it. You're going to go along with the show.
Being in many physical bodies and different settings expands the nature of our real self. Dr. N, and this sort of self-actualization of the soul identity is the purpose of life on our world? Subject: on any world. Dr. N, well, if each soul is preoccupied with self, doesn't this explain why we have a world of self-centered people? Subject: no, you misinterpret. Fulfillment is not cultivating self for selfish means, but allowing for integration with others in life. That also shows character and integrity. This is ethical conduct. Dr. N, does Ojanawin have less honesty than Anras? Subject: pause. I'm afraid she does engage in self-deception. Dr. N, I wonder how you can function effectively as a spiritual guide for the 9 members of your company and still incarnate on Earth to finish your own lessons. Subject: it used to affect my concentration to some extent, but now there is no conflict. Dr. N, do you have to separate your soul energy to accomplish this? Subject: yes. This capacity of souls allows for the management of both. Being on Earth also permits me to directly assist a member of my company and help myself at the same time. Dr. N.
Yeah, please. This narrative drives me out of my mind. Let's not forget, they do not remember what these relationships when they get down here. We're not all meeting up with our soul group and our bullshit masters when we're down here and having a good old time and learning off one another. It's not happening. It's a complete lie and deception. Right there, plain as day to see.
The idea that souls can divide themselves is not an easy thing for me to conceptualize. Subject: your use of the term divide is not quite accurate. Every part of us is still whole. I'm only saying it does take some getting used to at first, since you manage more than one program at a time. Dr. N, so your effectiveness as a teacher is not diminished by having multiple activities. Subject: not in the least. Dr. N, would you consider the major thrust of your instruction to be on Earth with your human body or in the spirit world as a free entity? Subject: they are 2 different settings. My instruction is diversified but no less effective. Dr. N, but your approach to a company member would be different depending upon the setting. Subject: yes, it would. Dr. N, Wouldn't you say the spirit world is the main center for learning? Subject: It is the center for evaluation and analysis, but souls do rest. Dr. N, when your students are living on Earth, do they know you are their guide and are with them always? Subject laughs, some more than others, but they all sense my influence at one time or another.
Oh yeah, they all sense it. Yeah, they sense it, but it doesn't do crap. Please, I don't even think anyone senses it, let alone applies any meaningful connection that helps them while here. Please, spare us. So, as you can tell, I'm being very sarcastic in a lot of this.
Dr. N, Thies, you are on Earth with me right now as a woman. Are you also able to be in contact with other members of your company? Subject: I told you, yes. Dr. N, what I'm getting at is this. Isn't teaching by example difficult when your Earth visits are rather infrequent these days? Subject: If I came too often and worked with them directly as one human being to another, I would be interfering with their natural unfolding. Dr. N, do you have the same reservations about interference as a teacher operating from the spirit world in a discarnate state? Subject: Yes, I do, although the techniques are different.
But yet they butt in anyways. They're all up. Look, they are all up our ass when we are up in the astral realms. Okay, all over us. But when it comes down here, poof, they're gone. Nowhere to be seen. No guidebook. No nothing. You don't come here with anything. You come here with nothing. And you have to figure it all out for yourself because it's all bullshit. So, yeah, but they sure as heck are going to make sure that they're on you up there because, you know, you're more in tune with things, but not completely. Remember, there's still the firewall. There's still a blockade going on up there. But the thing is they don't have as much control up there as they do down here. So that's why they have to constantly be implementing the indoctrination and the manipulation, the deception, all that stuff, just like goes on down here. But they're more hands-on up there. Down here, they got you. You're screwed. You're in a body. You're stuck here till you die anyway. So, all right, let's go on.
Dr. N, for mental contact? Subject: Yes. I would like to know more about the ability of spiritual teachers to contact their students. What exactly do you do from the spirit world to comfort or advise one of the 9 company members on Earth? Subject: No answer. Dr. N, coaxing her: Do you know what I'm asking? How do you implant ideas? Subject: Finally: I'm unable to tell you. Note: I suspect blocking here, but I can't complain. So far, Thies has been liberal with information, and so has her guide. I decide to stop the session for a minute to appeal directly to Kamara. It is a speech I have given before. Dr. N, Kamara, permit me to reason with you through Thies. My work here is intended for good. By questioning your disciple, I wish to add to my knowledge of healing and bring people closer to the higher creative power available within themselves. My larger mission is to combat the fear of death by offering people understanding about the nature of their souls and their spiritual home. Will you aid me in this endeavor? Subject: Thies answers me in an odd tone of voice. We know who you are. Dr. N, then would you both assist me? Subject: We will talk to you at our discretion. Note: This tells me if I exceed the undefined boundaries of these 2 guides with an intrusive question, it won't be answered. Dr. N,
Yeah, because they want to control the show. Control the flow of information. As long as you're on Deception Highway, they'll be all, about volunteering information to you. You step out of that boundary, that's it. It's over.
All right, Thies. On the count of 3, you will feel more comfortable talking to me about how souls function as guides. Begin by telling me in what way a company member on Earth can signal to get your attention. 1, 2, 3. I snap my fingers for added effect. Subject, after a long pause. First, they have to calm their minds and focus attention away from their immediate surroundings. Dr. N, how would they do this? Subject, by silence, reaching inward to fasten on their inner voice. Dr. N, is this how one calls for spiritual help? Subject, yes, at least to me. They must expand upon their inner consciousness to engage me on a central thought. Dr. N, on you, or on the specific problem which is bothering them? Subject, they must reach out beyond what is troubling them in order to be receptive to me. That's difficult when they don't remain calm.
Yeah, and difficult, you know, if you don't know what the hell to do, right? I mean, is even that smallest piece of information that they're conveying now, basically going into a meditative state to some extent, and reaching out beyond crisis. Well, these things tend to appear more during crises, really high-level crises. You know, family, you know, very sick family members who are about to die, or after they die. Very, you know, very extreme moments in life is when there is some sort of connection that may appear in the form of like an apparition, you know, things like that, where it's supposed to ease you. But what does that do, really? It manipulates you spiritually and takes advantage of you, because you're at your darkest, some of your darkest moments in life, and they come in and they present this illusion and this manipulation, and unfortunately a lot of people, that's all they need. That's all they need to be stuck and sign on to the show and give them, well, let's call it like inspiration, or even religious confirmation, spiritual confirmation, things like that. Whatever it's going to be, the point is these are usually pinnacle moments in people's lives that carry over into death and on into the recycling center.
Dr. N, do all 9 company members have about the same abilities to reach you for help? Subject, no, they don't. Dr. N, perhaps Ojanawin has the most problems? Subject, she is one of those that does. Dr. N, why? Subject, for me, getting the signals is easy. It's harder for people on Earth. The energy of directed thought must override human emotion. Dr. N, within a spirit world framework, how do you pick up the messages of just your company out of billions of souls who are sending out distress signals to other guides?
Come on.
Subject, I know instantly. All watchers do, because people send out their own individual patterns of thought. Dr. N, like a vibrational code in a field of thought particles? Subject, laughing. You could describe an energy pattern that way, I guess. Dr. N, okay.
Please, if this continues... man, if this continues... I'm going to throw up the... does it look okay? Was there any gap in everything? I just got a connection issue again multiple times on my end. I don't know if you guys are experiencing it. It looks like it's okay. I hate it when we can't keep the flow going. I apologize, guys, but it seems like it's okay. Alright, so let's continue. I got sidetracked with the stupid notifications. I apologize. Here we go.
Dr. N, lightly. Is that what a friendly spirit does with a troubled mind on Earth? Subject: It depends. Dr. N: On what? Are teacher spirits rather indifferent with the day-to-day problems of humans? Subject: Not indifferent, or we wouldn't communicate. We gauge each situation. We know life is transitory. We are more detached, because without human bodies we are unencumbered by the immediacy of human emotion. Dr. N: But when the situation does call for spiritual guidance, what do you do? Subject, gravely: As watchers in the stillness, we recognize the amount of turbulence from the wake of troubled thought. Then we carefully merge with it and gently touch the mind. Dr. N: Please describe this connection process further. Subject, pause. It's a slipstream of thought, which is usually turbulent rather than smooth from someone in distress. I was awkward at first, and I still don't have Kumara's skill. One must enter with subtlety, to wait for the best receptivity. Dr. N: How can a watcher be awkward? You have had thousands of years of experience. Subject: Communicators are not all the same. Watchers, too, have a variety of abilities. If one of my company is in crisis, physically hurt, sad, anxious, resentful, they send out great amounts of uncontrolled negative energy which alerts me, but exhausts them.
Yeah, send that out.
This is the challenge of a watcher, to know when and how to communicate. When people want immediate relief, they may not be in the proper mode for reflection. Dr. N: Well, in terms of abilities, can you tell me how you were awkward as an inexperienced guide? Subject: I wanted to rush in too fast to help without coordinating the patterns of thought we talked about. People can go numb. You don't get through to them when they have intense grief, for example. You are shut out of a cluttered mind when attentions are distracted and thought energy is scattered all about. Dr. N: Do the 9 members of your company sense your intrusion into their minds, following a cry to you for help? Subject: Watchers are not supposed to intrude. It's more of a soft coupling. I implant ideas which they assume as inspiration, to try and give them peace. Dr. N:
Yeah, they plant ideas to give them quote-unquote peace. Well, what about the flip side, the depression, the anxiety, schizophrenics? What about all that? Is that a positive thing? Huh? Come on. I really think it depends on where you are at in your life, how much control you decide to yield to these forces, and if you do recognize them, having the ability to shut it down yourself and basically deny consent for that experience. And schizophrenics have it the worst out of everyone, and they are treated horribly in society. And for anyone who is fairly new to the channel, check out my interviews with Jerry Marzinski for further information on entity attacks and attachments, and how it relates to not just schizophrenics, but even can apply to us during low points or certain periods in our life where an outside force entity of type comes in and tries to mess with us. It happens. It's a very real thing, and Jerry has done some incredible work on that, and I may even actually have him on again. Just got a message from him the other day, so I'm gonna have another conversation with Jerry down the road. There's a couple interviews. Check out my I think collaboration playlist or interview playlist, something like that, and you could find those there. He spent 35 years inside the mental health system, and boy does he have a lot to say and share, and it can help people tremendously, especially if you have family members that might be impacted by schizophrenia, because there are other options out there to explore that can't really go into now, but give it a look. Okay, let's continue.
What single thing do you have the most problem with during communications with people on Earth? Subject: fear. Dr. N, would you enlarge on that? Subject: I have to be careful not to spoil my people by making life too easy for them, to let them work out most of their difficulties without jumping right in. They only suffer more if a watcher moves in too quickly before this is done. Kumara is an expert at this. Dr. N, is she ultimately responsible for you and your company? Subject: well, yes, we are all under her influence. Dr. N, see any of your own peer members around? I'm thinking of associates at your level of attainment with whom you can confer about teaching methods. Subject: oh, you mean with those I grew up with here? Dr. N, yes. Subject: yes, 3 in particular. Dr. N, and do they lead company groups themselves? Subject: yes. Dr. N, are these more advanced souls responsible for about the same number of souls as you? Subject: yes, except Waru. His company is more than double my own. He is good. Another company is being added to his workload. Dr. N, how many superior entities do you and your friends who are company leaders go to for advice and direction? Subject: 1. We all go to Kumara to exchange observations and seek ways of improvement. Dr. N, how many souls like you and Waru does Kumara oversee? Subject: oh, I couldn't know that. Dr. N, try and give an estimate of the number. Subject, after reflection: at least 50, probably more. Additional inquiries into Kumara's spiritual activities were fruitless, so I turned next to Thesa's creation training. Her experiences, which I have condensed, take us a little further than those training exercises described by Nentham in the last chapter. To those listeners with a scientific bent, I want to stress that when a subject is reporting to me about creation, their frame of reference is really not grounded in earth science. I have to make the best interpretations I can from the information provided. Dr. N, the curriculum for souls seems to have great variety, These. I want to go into another aspect of your training. Does your energy utilize the properties of light, heat, and motion in the creation of life? Subject, startled: you know about that? Dr. N, what more can you tell me? Subject, only that I am familiar with this. Dr. N, I don't want to talk about anything which will make you uncomfortable, but I would appreciate your confirmation of certain biological effects resulting from the actions of souls. Subject hesitates. Oh, I don't think... Dr. N, I jump in quickly. What creation have you recently done which makes Kumara proud of you? Subject, without resistance: I am proficient with fish. Dr. N, I follow up with a deliberate exaggeration to keep her going. Oh, so you can create a whole fish with your mental energy? Subject, vexed: you must be kidding. Dr. N, then where do you start? Subject, with the embryos, of course. I thought you knew. Dr. N, just checking. When do you think you will be ready for mammals? Subject, no answer. Dr. N, look, These, if you will try to cooperate with me for a few more minutes, I promise not to take long with my questions on this subject. Will you agree to that? Subject, pause. We will see. Dr. N, okay. As a means of basic clarification, tell me what you actually...
Take a look. Yeah, I feel bad having people wait, and it just keeps dropping and something's going on. So, assuming you can hear me, thank you for joining me. Anyone who can hear this, we are going to have a soul watch party with commentary of the whole thing, and then afterwards we'll have a group discussion. You can email me at foreverconsciousresearchchannel@gmail.com. That's foreverconsciousresearch. foreverconsciousresearch@gmail.com. No channel. foreverconsciousresearch@gmail.com. If you want to join the Soul Watch Party with commentary, and after words, like I said, we'll have a fun group discussion. There's quite a few people who emailed me, so it's going to be fun, and look forward to seeing some of you there. But for now, hopefully this video doesn't have too many gaps. If it does, I may have to actually come in and redo certain sections, which I really hope